Iran has reportedly launched a major strike in the Strait of Hormuz, targeting a United States naval escort formation accompanying an oil tanker through the strategic waterway. The incident comes as tensions between Iran and the United States along with Israel continue to rise across the Middle East, according to sources monitoring maritime activity. The convoy was traveling through the narrow corridor when it came under a coordinated attack. Reports suggest the strike involved next-generation anti-ship missiles launched from positions along the Iranian coastline. Iranian officials later described the weapons as part of an advanced coastal defense system designed to target naval vessels operating near Iranian territorial waters. The attack reportedly occurred suddenly as the convoy moved through one of the most sensitive maritime routes in the world. The incident took place at a time when the Strait of Hormuz had already become one of the most volatile locations globally. Ongoing tensions between Iran and the U.S.-Israel alliance had raised serious concerns about the safety of shipping in the region. Sources familiar with maritime tracking data indicated the convoy was escorting a large crude oil tanker through the strait despite growing security warnings. The tanker was reportedly transporting oil from the Persian Gulf and attempting to move through the narrow shipping lane that connects the Gulf to global markets. Around the tanker was a United States naval escort formation made up of 3 warships positioned to provide protection during the transit. According to available information, the escort group included an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, and an Avenger-class mine countermeasure ship. These vessels are commonly deployed together during high-risk maritime operations where protection against missiles, aircraft, and underwater threats is necessary. Destroyers and cruisers typically provide missile defense systems and long-range radar detection capabilities. Meanwhile, mine countermeasure vessels are responsible for locating and clearing underwater mines that could threaten commercial shipping routes. Together, such formations create a layered defense system for protected vessels moving through dangerous waters. According to sources monitoring radar and maritime traffic, the escort formation and tanker were traveling through the Strait of Hormuz at a time when shipping activity had already declined significantly. Over recent weeks, the waterway had effectively become one of the most dangerous shipping corridors in the world. Many shipping companies had postponed voyages or rerouted vessels due to fears of possible attacks. The broader regional confrontation involving Iran, the United States, and Israel had already increased uncertainty for commercial shipping operations in the Persian Gulf. The crisis intensified earlier this year when tensions between the opposing sides escalated sharply. Since then, the region has witnessed growing military activity, including missile launches, drone operations, and increased naval deployments by several countries. Iran has repeatedly warned that if the confrontation expands further, it has the capability to disrupt or even shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Because of these warnings, every oil tanker passing through the strait is now closely monitored by governments, energy markets, and security analysts worldwide. Sources tracking maritime movements indicated that the escorted convoy was part of an effort to ensure commercial shipping could continue despite rising tensions. Protecting oil shipments through the strait remains a critical priority for global energy security. However, reports indicate the convoy came under attack while traveling through the narrow shipping corridor. Iranian claims circulating in regional media suggested that coastal missile systems were used to target the escort formation. Iranian military officials have long emphasized their ability to strike naval vessels operating in the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz using land-based missile batteries positioned along the coastline. These systems are specifically designed to threaten ships traveling through narrow waterways where maneuvering space is limited. Sources familiar with the incident indicated that the strike involved advanced anti-ship missiles capable of flying extremely close to the surface of the water. Such missiles are designed to travel at very high speeds while maintaining a low flight path known as sea skimming. Military analysts explain that this flight profile makes the missiles difficult for radar systems to detect until the final moments before impact. The limited reaction time can make interception extremely challenging for naval defense systems. Iranian claims suggested the weapons used in the strike belonged to a new generation of precision missile systems designed to counter modern naval defenses. These missiles reportedly include advanced guidance technology capable of tracking moving targets. Such guidance systems allow the missiles to adjust their trajectory during the final stage of flight to strike ships even if they attempt evasive maneuvers. According to sources observing the incident, multiple explosions were reported within the convoy area. Fires were reportedly visible in the shipping corridor following the strike. Maritime monitoring networks indicated that both the escort vessels and the oil tanker were severely affected by the attack. Images and tracking information circulating among shipping observers suggested large plumes of smoke rising from the area where the convoy had been traveling. The damage reportedly left several vessels either destroyed or critically disabled. Burning fuel and scattered debris were reportedly seen across sections of the waterway. Such destruction within the narrow corridor raised immediate concerns about navigation hazards for other vessels operating nearby. Iranian media outlets later described the strike as part of what they called a defensive response to growing military pressure from the United States and Israel. Iranian statements emphasized the country's ability to target naval forces operating near its coastline. Officials also suggested that Iran possesses the capability to disrupt maritime operations in the region if tensions continue to escalate. These claims were widely circulated across regional media platforms. In addition to missile launches, some monitoring networks reported aircraft activity in the area around the time of the strike. Radar analysis suggested that several aircraft were flying at relatively low altitudes near the engagement zone. The aircraft reportedly turned back toward Iranian airspace shortly after the attack. Some analysts believe these aircraft may have been fighter jets supporting the operation. Their possible role could have included providing targeting information or coordinating the timing of missile launches. However, the exact involvement of aircraft remains uncertain based on currently available information. What remains certain is the enormous global importance of the location where the incident occurred. The Strait of Hormuz is widely regarded as the most critical oil transit route on Earth. Under normal conditions, nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through this narrow waterway every day. The strait connects the Persian Gulf to international shipping routes supplying energy to markets in Asia, Europe, and other regions. Because the waterway is relatively narrow, it is particularly vulnerable to disruption. During periods of military tension, even small incidents can produce major consequences for global energy markets. However, the current situation goes far beyond a minor disruption. Sources monitoring maritime traffic reported that shipping activity in the Strait of Hormuz had already declined sharply during the crisis. Many vessels have been waiting outside the Persian Gulf rather than risking passage through the strait. Shipping companies and operators have become increasingly cautious due to rising security threats. Insurance companies have also increased risk assessments for ships operating in the region. Higher insurance costs and safety concerns have already begun affecting commercial shipping operations. Some shipping companies have temporarily suspended voyages through the strait altogether. Such decisions reflect growing fears that the situation could escalate further. Iran has also issued warnings suggesting that oil shipments could be restricted if the confrontation with the United States and Israel intensifies. Iranian officials have repeatedly stated that the country has the capability to control access to the strait if necessary. These warnings are taken very seriously by global energy markets. The world economy relies heavily on the steady flow of oil passing through the Persian Gulf. If that flow were significantly disrupted, the consequences could spread quickly across international markets. Energy prices could surge and transportation costs could increase worldwide. Manufacturing sectors and supply chains could also experience sudden pressure. Financial markets typically react quickly to geopolitical events that threaten major energy supply routes. Beyond economic consequences, the military implications of the situation are also extremely serious. Naval confrontations in the Strait of Hormuz have long been considered among the most dangerous scenarios for regional stability. The narrow geography of the waterway makes it difficult for large warships to maneuver effectively during conflict situations. At the same time, surrounding coastlines provide ideal locations for missile batteries and surveillance systems. For years, military analysts have warned that this environment makes naval forces highly vulnerable during periods of confrontation. The current crisis has already increased military activity across the region. Naval patrols have intensified and air defense systems have been placed on heightened alert. Several countries have moved additional military assets into the Gulf area. If incidents like this continue, further escalation cannot be ruled out. The United States and allied countries could deploy additional naval forces to protect commercial shipping routes. Aircraft carriers, destroyers, and surveillance aircraft may move closer to the strait. Regional bases hosting American forces could also increase defensive readiness. At the same time, Iran's naval forces and coastal defense units may expand patrol operations along the Iranian coastline. Fast attack boats and missile batteries could be deployed across the strait. Such developments would transform the waterway into one of the most heavily militarized maritime corridors in the world. The broader geopolitical context is also crucial for understanding the crisis. Tensions between Iran, the United States, and Israel have been rising across multiple fronts. Military operations, cyber activities, and intelligence operations have all contributed to the escalating confrontation. Regional allies and partners have also been drawn into the situation, raising concerns that the conflict could spread. Further, for decades, the Strait of Hormuz has been viewed as a potential flashpoint in conflicts involving Iran and Western powers. Because control of this narrow waterway carries enormous strategic influence, any disruption to traffic can affect global energy markets within hours. Governments around the world closely monitor developments in the region. Energy markets, shipping companies, and military planners all understand the importance of maintaining stability. In this corridor, according to sources monitoring the situation, the recent strike once again demonstrates how fragile that stability can be. The reported attack on the escort formation and oil tanker highlights the serious risks faced by vessels operating in the region during the current crisis. If tensions continue to escalate, further incidents cannot be ruled out. Because such a large portion of the world's energy supply passes through this narrow waterway, any prolonged disruption could have global consequences. For now, governments and security analysts are watching developments in the Strait of Hormuz extremely closely. What happens in these waters does not remain a regional issue. It has the potential to influence global energy, security, economic stability, and the balance of power across the Middle East for years to come.